the Black Panther movie has become a huge hit. So huge that it is in fact the first comic book movie to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, rather than Best Adaptation or such like that. While there is a fantastic cast with Chadwick Boseman playing the titular Black Panther expertly, the breakout role was definitely Michael B. Jordan as the villainous Eric Killmonger. While Killmonger's Earth 616 counterpart had a similar backstory to the MCU version, it went down very differently. This 5-part series is reconciling those differences to better bring the MCU version of the character into the 616 fold by retconning and redefining his history to better fit the new narrative. On one hand, the plot feels like a cavalcade of 616 references, such as Claw being in his classic costume, as well as Killmonger coming face to face with the Kingpin before being drafted into a mercenary group that works for the Kingpin, because reasons. There is really not a lot of explanation for why he joins up with them, despite a valiant attempt by writer Brian Hill to give King, the leader of the mercenary group he joins, a speech to get Killmonger to agree to join. In fact, it actually really contrasts with this earlier scene where the reason that Eric didn't take any of the job offers after graduating top of his class from MIT was because he didn't want to be owned. If he joined a mercenary group working under the Kingpin as the bottom tier, then he would be having several masters, which goes against that. Another moment in this comic that really hurts it is a scene where he's quoting Moby Dick in trying to be this intellectual villain while loading up guns and everything. The problem with this is that Eric is supposed to be smart. Yes, he is on a massive quest to kill Claw and reclaim Wakanda from the Western influences that the royal family has brought in. But Captain Ahab is not the person anyone would want to be once they thought about it. It would make more sense if he was using this quote because of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, where it was used in a broader context for merely being about all-consuming revenge and delivered brilliantly by Ricardo Montalban. With that ranting out of the way, Brian Hill is a competent writer on this issue, but there are a lot of drawbacks that are really beyond his control. There is a very boiled down backstory with minimum time spent on his arguably more interesting childhood, and the only bare bones explanation for why Killmonger wants to kill Claw and the royals in Wakanda. For those not in the know, Claw actually enslaved his parents to help try and invade Wakanda, which, when that failed, they were all exiled. It's a fairly gripping story that is mostly overlooked here to focus on a bog-standard mercenary affair. The art, on the other hand, is really, really good. Juan Ferreira, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, brings a realistic art style that makes the visceral moments all the more personal, and brings the new look of Killmonger from the MCU without it feeling like a wholly different character. The only downside is that realism doesn't work when we see Claw in his red and purple costume. That isn't on Ferreira, but he does make the character look as close to his style as possible, so it's just a weird, not necessarily uncanny valley, but I don't know what it's called. It just looks a little weird. Overall, this book could have been so much more, with hints of a far greater story having been skipped, but it isn't outright bad. The art really could potentially save this one for some readers, so the final verdict can only be read it. Read it means that it's not necessarily worth the buy. To you, after you've read it, you might want to buy it and check out the rest of the series, or you'll go, yeah, I see what he's saying, it's not for me. It's not necessarily skippable, but it's not necessarily an outright go buy it now. And that's all for today. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to agree or disagree, or just open up a dialogue, please leave your opinions, comments, questions down below in the comments. And while you're down there, if you have a comic you'd like us to look at for first issues, flashback firsties, literally any of the shows we have on this channel, please let me know in the comments below. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and please support us on Patreon so I really don't have to choose a side in the whose click war should I be a part of. And as always, I'm the Comic Archivist, so stay golden, Inklings.